History remembers Rome's fall as violence, as invasion, as chaos. We imagine fire, steel, screaming cities, and foreign armies crashing against civilization like a storm. It is a convenient story, a comforting one, because it suggests that Rome was defeated by something external, something alien, something unavoidable. But Rome was not destroyed by force. It was undone by familiarity, by compromise, by exhaustion. The greatest empire the world had ever known did not collapse under an enemy's blow. It quietly lost the ability to command obedience, and once that ability is gone, conquest becomes a formality. Humans crave simple explanations. The fall of Rome must have a villain. The barbarians are convenient. They were foreign. They spoke different languages. They lived beyond the frontier. But this explanation collapses under scrutiny. Rome had faced external enemies for centuries and defeated them repeatedly. What changed was not the nature of Rome's enemies, but the nature of Rome itself. Empires do not fall because enemies appear. They fall because they can no longer respond effectively when enemies arrive. The so-called barbarians were not united. They were not a civilization. Opposed to Rome, they were dozens of groups with different cultures, leaders, ambitions, and relationships with the empire. Many admired Rome. Many wanted to be Roman. Some already were, in everything but name. They traded with Roman cities, served in Roman legions, adopted Roman laws, and worshipped Roman gods. The boundary between Roman and barbarian was never absolute, and by the 4th century, it was barely meaningful. The Roman frontier was not a line of defense. It was a living system. Trade flowed across it. People crossed it legally and illegally. Diplomacy mattered as much as military force. Rome's strength lay not in exclusion, but in control. As long as Rome could regulate movement, reward loyalty, and punish defiance, the system functioned. But regulation requires competence, and competence was precisely what Rome was losing. As political instability intensified, military leadership fractured. Generals prioritized survival over strategy. Resources were misallocated. Corruption hollowed out logistics. Soldiers were underpaid, borders undermanned, and command structures politicized. Rome still possessed armies, but it lacked coordination. Defense became reactive, temporary, negotiated. The empire was no longer enforcing order. It was improvising. Rome increasingly outsourced its own security. Entire barbarian groups were settled inside imperial territory in exchange for military service. On paper, this was integration. In practice, it was abdication. Rome lacked the administrative capacity to manage these populations. Promises went unfulfilled. Supplies failed. Abuse followed. Rome did not absorb these groups. It trapped them in a system it could no longer sustain. The Gothic migration was not an invasion. It was a humanitarian crisis. Rome accepted the Goths and then exploited them. Corrupt officials stole food meant for refugees. Children starved. Revolt was inevitable. Adrianople was not a defeat caused by barbarian brilliance. It was the result of Roman arrogance, disorganization, and denial. When the emperor died on the battlefield, something far more important died with him, the myth of Roman superiority. Rome survived Adrianople, but it never recovered psychologically. The empire learned that it could lose. Negotiation replaced command. Payments replaced authority. The state no longer imposed order, it bargained for peace. Once that shift occurs, power begins to dissolve. Every concession becomes precedent. Every compromise weakens legitimacy. The sack of Rome in 410 shocked the world, but it did not destroy the empire. What it destroyed was belief. Rome could no longer protect itself. If the eternal city was vulnerable, nothing was secure. Provinces lost faith. Loyalty fractured. The empire began dissolving, not through conquest, but through withdrawal. The Eastern Roman Empire faced similar pressures, but it adapted. It reformed taxation, restructured the military, centralized authority, and accepted transformation. The West failed to do so. Collapse was not inevitable. It was chosen, slowly, repeatedly, and unconsciously. Rome was not conquered. It was exposed. Invasion was not the cause of collapse. It was the consequence. When an empire loses the ability to govern itself, enforce its laws, and inspire loyalty, it no longer needs to be destroyed. It will dismantle itself, and outsiders will simply move into the space it leaves behind. Rome did not fall because barbarians entered its world. It fell because it no longer controlled its own.